with the similar triangles, right? We got similar triangles. I guess you could have any number of similar triangles, but we'll start with just two of them, right? So let's, we'll say this one is the first triangle, triangle 1, right? And then anytime you're solving for any triangle, right, there's 6 things to know, right?
Okay.
There's like the 3 side lengths
Mm-hmm.
and the 3 angles, right? Because that's all there is to do with triangles. So in a similar triangle question, you know a triangle is similar when there's 2 things, right? First thing is the angles all have to match.
Okay.
That's the first checkpoint,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if all the angles match,
I'm just gonna write that down.
that's possible. Here, I'll write that down too. So 1, angles must match, right? And then the second thing, and chances are if you've checked the first thing, the second thing's true. If all these angles match, right, then there should be some scale factor from one to the other.
Mm-hmm.
So you see how, like, in mine here, this side length is twice as big, right, relative to this one. So if I wanted to go from triangle 1 to 2, like if I was going the other direction, so if I was going from 1 to 2, I'd have to multiply by 2. That would be my scale factor.
Okay.
If I was going from 2 to 1, I'd have to divide by 2. Okay.
This is pretty easy. Yeah.
It is like, yeah, there's nothing really to it. So the hard part maybe with these questions, like anything else we've done, is coming up with the word problems.
Okay.
Or like the pictorial representation.
I'm gonna go
right?
grab some water.
No worries. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's okay?
Yeah.
All right. So here's what we got to do, right? Anytime you look at any word problem, and especially as you start to get, like, if you decide to go into the sciences or like physics in particular, the pictures are always kind of going to help you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as I read this, I'm going to try and come up with a picture, right? So at noon, which isn't really important, the time of day, but could be if it asks you 2 different kind of information. The shadow of a tree is 4.3 meters tall, right? So I'm just going to kind of draw this tree, like a rough tree, right? Because that's what we're talking about, right?
Perfect.
And then along the ground, it casts a shadow 4.3 meters long, okay? So we could basically represent, like, we'll just draw a line to represent the tree, right? And then along the bottom, this tree is casting a shadow of 4.3 meters, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Right, and then it kind of looks like, not the greatest worded question. It's not like written the best,
Yeah.
like this question, because then they're like, okay, well, the shadow of a meter stick is 0.2 meters long, right? Well, is the meter stick on an angle? It's standing straight up, but that's just kind of how the question is.
You just assume it's kind of the honor system.
So now you got this meter stick sticking out of the ground, right? And it's 1 meter. And I didn't really draw this too well, scale-wise, but you get the idea, right?
Yeah.
And it's casting a shadow of what?
Oh, okay.
0.2 meters, right?
Just let me draw this.
No worries.
Okay, so. And then. And 0.2 meters. Yeah, 0.2 is longer than the 1.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's not a great picture,
It's
but it at least gives you some representation as to what's going on,
yeah.
right? So now,
We would just time 0.1 by wait, no.
you could do this one of two ways.
Okay.
Not that either one of them is overly difficult, just one's a little bit more work, right? So
Yeah.
the first way would be to use a ratio,
Okay.
right? The second way would be, I'll show you the second way in a second. But with a ratio, I'm going to look at, okay, I'm going to set up a ratio, like an equal statement, right? Where I'm going to look at common sides,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I'm going to take 4.3 and compare it with 0.2.
All right.
So you could do this, okay, well, I want, and sometimes you can be a little bit strategic with the way that you label, like, or set up your ratio too, right?
Yeah.
I can have that and this are similar. You see this?
Yeah.
So the vertical stuff goes with vertical stuff, obviously, and then the horizontal goes with the horizontal. But I could set this up as, if this is the piece of information that I want to know, x, the height of the tree,
Mm-hmm.
then I could set this up as going, the ratio side of things could be, okay, well, x over 4.3 is equal to 1 over 0.2.
Okay.
Okay, so you can see how, like, I chose to line these up. See how these go with each other?
Mm-hmm.
And then the bottoms go with each other. That's how I choose to kind of do a ratio, right?
Okay.
When you get to this stage now, you can cross multiply.
Okay. Yeah. So just
Right.
like sine law.
Yeah, exactly like sine law. Sine law is just ratios, right?
Oh, that's true.
They're
Yeah.
comparing, they're just relating the angles to the side lengths, right? So after I cross multiply here, I'm going to get 0.2x is equal to 4.3, right?
Yes.
And then x is equal to 4.3 divided by 0.2.
Yes. Okay. So
Okay.
x is equal to.
So if we do that, I'll do this. My phone opens.
Hmm.
21.5.
Oh, so okay.
Right.
X.
21.5 meters. Don't forget that. Okay.
Yes.
And then you can always, like, once you get to the stage, you're probably always going to want to write a concluding statement, so therefore statement, right? So you can, and that Miss McCrae and I as teachers know that you know how to interpret the answer.
Yes, you
right?
do. Therefore.
Yeah. So that's always kind of an important thing, but it is what it is. A lot of kids leave them off. Now, we could go back to what we started talking about at the beginning of this, like when I was talking about similar triangles up here. If I wanted to go from the bigger one to the smaller one, I could divide,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
If I wanted to go from the bigger one to the smaller, the smaller one to the bigger one, I'd multiply. So the other way to do these questions, and I don't know if in the 10 academic it's like the teachers typically specify, but you could find, I know in the 2Ps, like we were telling our kids to go find the scale factor,
Okay.
right? So in this instance, you could go, okay, well, how many, if these things are truly similar, right? Which I think the question is kind of, it's setting you up to use similar triangles. So in fact, like, each of the angles should match up, right? But you kind of want, if we're going to find the scale factor, you want to find how many times bigger is the one on the left than the one on the right, right? So I could do, essentially, you could do 4.3 divided by 0.2, right? Right, and that's going to equal 21.5, right? That's just a scale factor, right? That's how many times bigger this one is than this. And then you can use the scale factor right?
Yeah. Okay.
You okay so far?
Yeah.
Okay. So you can use this scale factor, and I know that this triangle is bigger than this one by 21.5 times. So I can take this side length and multiply it by 21.5.
Is that 0.2 or 6?
0.2, sorry.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Sorry. Right? So then I know, okay, in order to get x, I'm going to have to multiply the 1 by the scale factor, which in this case is 21.5. This is an easy question because you used the meter stick.
Yeah.
If, let's say here for a sec, I didn't use the meter stick, but you decided to go outside and stand beside the tree, right?
Yeah.
Well, you know how tall you are. It's not 1 meter or 2 meters right on.
Yeah.
It's probably like 1.65 or something, right?
Around that.
In which case, you probably would have casted a little bit of a bigger shadow, like maybe 0.3, and then you would have done 4.3 divided by 0.3,
Okay.
got a different scale factor, and then you could have taken your height and multiplied it by that scale factor, right? So this question was a little bit easy because you used the meter stick, right?
Yeah.
So you could do 1 times 21.5 is equal to x. Now, which of the two ways would you prefer to do?
Well, for that one, the scale factor would be.
Yeah, and I think most of the time for the similar triangle questions, scale factor is going to be the way to go,
Okay.
right? You could find it
Yeah, because then you.
pretty easily, right? You
Yeah.
just look at these two, and you can figure